On this episode of DC On Screen, we are talking about and getting super spoilery on Matt Reeves' The Batman, right after these words from our mystery sponsors.
Are you struggling to conceive? You have options, and at Piedmont Reproductive Endocrinology Group, we'll make sure you have the guidance and support you need. PREG is known for individualized fertility care that's unique to every patient. We take the time to provide a reassuring and empowering experience because we believe that you deserve nothing less. Let us help you on your journey to parenthood. Visit us at pregonline.com to learn more. Get the guidance and support you need at Piedmont Reproductive Endocrinology Group.
For the ones who get it done, the most important part is the one you need now. And the best partner is the one who can deliver. That's why millions of maintenance and repair pros trust Grainger, because we have professional-grade supplies for every industry, even hard-to-find products. And we have same-day pickup and next-day delivery on most orders. But most importantly, we have an unwavering commitment to help keep you up and running. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Welcome into DC On Screen, the podcast that covers the DC multiverse on film and television and believes that every iteration of a property is valid, even if we don't dig it. I am your host, David C. Robertson, and this, the man who hydrates with an IV filled with orphan's tears, Jason Goss. It felt appropriate.
It took you this long to find me.
Oh man.
But you'll never catch me.
I'm really excited, man. You know, I saw this thing like a night or two before you did.
Mm-hmm. And I was jelly.
And look, you know, you didn't know what was happening. So I was like, I'm getting spoilers online. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go check this thing out. And I did so under duress to some degree because I don't like going to movie theaters. Mm-hmm. There's something triggering about it for me. Something about the Dark Knight Rises shooting mixed with some other like panic attack stuff. Like I go to a theater, my anxiety level is high. And the pandemic is not helping me. So I'm watching this thing and I'm like digging it, but then also going like, God, this is so long. Also, I'm half asleep. Like I'm starting to fall asleep. It's getting too late for me.
It's just kind of dark. Seat reclines a little bit.
So when I did the first thoughts, you know, I was like, yeah, you know, because it is me, I said, you know, look, I might come into this thing and say like, I don't like this and this, and then I might warm up or I might sour. We never know with me. As it is, I have warmed up quite a bit because in the first look, I was like, look, I dug this and this, you know, as non-spoilery as I could, I dug this and this, but I felt like it was overlong. It was a bit bloated. Some of it was just felt like big chunks of boring for me at times. But I think I've come to not believe that so much. I think really my biggest issue is just always going to be the theater. Like I would much rather be able to like stop and start as I feel like I need to get up and walk around. I want to go use the bathroom. I want to grab a snack, kind of reset, especially with 3 hours. Like I like long movies. I like really long miniseries on Netflix. I go like 20 minutes and I'm pausing that shit though.
Yeah. No, there were two different moments where I instinctively reached for a remote.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah. If anyone heard that, I'm sure plenty of people heard the first look and were put off by it. Like I told you, I'm subject to change. And as it has sunk in, I have appreciated this movie so much more. Mm-hmm. What do you think what are your high level thoughts, man?
The highest point, I like the homages in many ways. I mean, hell, even like Gaslight version or just the whole theme of it being Long Halloween. Mm-hmm. All good.
Yeah.
I mean, probably not going to be my favorite film that's ever happened overall, but damn, I enjoyed the shit out of that, and it was it set up a huge portion of like the Gotham crime lore.
Mm-hmm.
That's something that like I don't pay enough attention to sometimes. I mean it's nice to have all the rogues and the villains and everything, but the Carmines and the Falcons, the Maronis and the
The
Falcons.
Falcon. I was like, that's the same guy.
That's the same guy. Yeah, like it's important to have those in the mix, and I kind of forget how important they are in the infrastructure of Gotham. But damn, they didn't let you do that. And holy shit, Totoro.
Yes. You just want to talk about the actors real quick?
Oh.
Because, oh my God. Yeah, we could start with John Turturro as Carmine Falcone. Loved him in a completely different way than I did the guy from the Gotham TV series, and I did love that Don Falcone.
Mm-hmm.
I loved that guy. He was fantastic. But John Turturro, he's the Jesus, man.
Different level. Just different level.
It really is apples and oranges. He had a different function in the story than the guy from Gotham did, than the guy from Batman Begins did. Everybody's in his pocket, and he's such a sinister sack of shit.
He's so perfectly terrible.
He is, and I'm curious. Did you feel like he and Selena may have had something of an incestuous relationship at some point?
No, not that.
Really? Because it seemed like he was so creepy the way he was like touching her face, and I haven't seen you down here in a while, and you need to come back down here every once in a while. And then, so we know that he didn't know that she was his daughter because at the end she tells him. So,
I mean, yeah, but
was there a point where she didn't know? Was there a point where he kept trying and she was always sort of just pulling away?
I mean, not to me. It seemed like a fairly standard, how do I put it? Terrible father relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Without the added bonus of incest.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's why I'm just like, what? For him to be touching her like that and talking to her like that, and then at the end we realize he didn't know that she was his daughter. What happened? Or was it always just sort of he was trying and she was just getting away from him? Or had she been forced into a situation at some point? Because the shame and the look on her face when he's touching her, and now knowing that she knows that she is his daughter, it gave me some
a whole backstory going on, and he didn't. And yeah, you're right, that changes. But it just seemed like a how do I put it? More of a dude had too much going on to really focus on her.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. It seemed familial in a way.
I don't know. I've only seen this thing once. I'd like to go back and watch it again to really try to suss that out, because I had basically forgotten Long Halloween, where we find out
that is basically the script for this movie.
Yeah, well, I don't think so, but definitely with the Catwoman stuff, because I'd forgotten that she finds out that she's his daughter.
Right.
The only thing I remembered was man, look at those nails on Selena. She's gonna claw the shit out of Falcone, like she did in the comic. That's what I remembered. I didn't remember that. I don't know why I didn't remember. I was glad I didn't remember, because when she said it in the movie, I was like, oh yeah, it was a nice little shock.
Honestly, the movie starts on Halloween, and I thought, okay, we're doing this.
Yeah, it really was meant to come out in the fall.
Yeah.
My God, that opening narration though, maybe
this Halloween, just as
he's talking about how he can't be everywhere at once, but because of the signal, people think he's in the shadows because he is the shadows, and we see these various iterations of the criminal element, or the element as he refers to it, committing crimes, seeing the signal, and then looking into the shadows and becoming transfixed. Letting their fears get the best of them before running away. That shit is baller. I was all into that.
That's some Batman shit.
That is some Batman shit. And I loved how Batman and Robert Pattinson did a fantastic job of playing Batman. I would say that, if there was something negative about his performance, and I don't think it would be his performance, it would just be that Bruce Wayne is non-existent in this movie. And I would say I didn't really connect with Bruce, but he's not there. It's just Batman. He hasn't figured out Bruce yet. So that's not like, there are times where I feel like he's
like
sort
Bruce
of
Wayne, the Playboy. No,
right. Like, well, the majority of the takes you see are going to be Bruce died the night his parents died. Batman has been the ensuing personality ever since.
tonic water with a lime twist while he pretends to host a party.
So, at this point, he's, this disaffected 90s kid with the hair in his face.
Mm-hmm.
And every once in a while, that got on my nerves just a little bit, where I was just like, okay, I need a little bit more. But he's so Batman, and he's so intent on seeing the world in black and white. Like, he sees Selina helping Oz peddle drugs, and he's just glaring at her. Like, and then when she's working with him, and he's just such a controlling and judgmental dick. He demands he's like grabbing her arm. He's demanding to know what she's done with Falcone, what her relationship with him is. And then he gets this like revelation from the Riddler that his dad was in bed with Falcone, that his mother had psychotic breaks, that his father was covering it up. He accuses Alfred of lying to him for years, which he was, but because Thomas was a good man who got caught up in trying to protect his family. It's just cool to see that he's looking for allies, which sets up a Robin if they ever wanted to do it in this universe. But Bruce is looking for allies and for absolute virtue among those he cares for. And I know it's going to piss people off, but it reminded me of that fantastic scene from Batman and Robin 97. I know what you're thinking. There's no fantastic scene, but no, go back and look at the Bruce and Alfred stuff. It's fantastic. Where Bruce says to Alfred, "Am I pig-headed? Is it my way or the highway?" And Alfred goes, "Yes, actually." And he says, "What is Batman but a desperate attempt to control the chaos in our world?" And that movie has some fantastic stuff between Alfred and Bruce.
It does that.
And that's all I can really say about it. But
to your point, I mean, one of the most fantastic moments in the movie was like Serkis and Pattinson's little moment in the hospital. That was Bruce and Alfred, just stripped of everything, just like a boy and a surrogate father. That actually was really good.
And honestly, like one of the great flaws of this movie, if there are some, is that we don't get more of Serkis and Pattinson in that role. Like, we are very, very underserved on the Bruce-Alfred relationship. And I get it. There's a lot of Batman stuff to go. There's a lot of Riddler stuff. There's a lot of story they're trying to cram in here. And Matt Reeves has said there's a 4-hour cut somewhere. So, I mean, I don't know if they're going to release it.
I can appreciate, at least for what we got, that his version of experiencing fear is learning that someone like Alfred is in danger.
Yeah, and I did like that. There's a lot to be said for the fact, he was playing like the disaffected 90s kid, the stereotypical, "You're not my father." And, that's the last interaction he has with Alfred, really, until he finds out, oh shit, things are going to go awry. And he's like, you see that pain and that panic as he's trying to race home to make sure Alfred's okay. Like, dude, he is your dad. Like, shut up. Shut up, you spoiled brat.
Of that engine. Like, he is trying to get back. I get it.
So yeah, like I love that he has to, going back to what I was saying, is like, I love that Batman is already showing signs of, here's my line, here are my standards, all of my allies must conform to this. And, as he's being borderline abusive to Selina and being a dick to Alfred, he realizes like, oh shit, my dad was all involved in this, and Alfred's been lying for him for years. And and then he has to come to terms with the fact that everyone operates in shades of gray, himself included, culminating in that awesome scene with Riddler, where he thinks Riddler knew who he was until the real twist was that Riddler didn't know and lamented that Bruce Wayne was the only one they didn't get. Like, that's the big twist. Not Riddler thinking he was Bruce. Riddler thinking that Batman was his ally. And that they were doing this all together.
Yeah.
And Bruce realizes that he is responsible for how other people perceive his actions and tactics.
Well,
and I thought that was so good.
It just, that coupled with the idea that the entire time they're having that conversation, he thinks he's about to be outed.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
oh, he definitely did.
Bruce, like, he just keeps layering it on.
Yeah.
It's fantastic.
And as he's doing it, my sister-in-law pointed out, and I noticed it, but I wouldn't have thought to bring it up, but she was saying how much she loved the fact that every time he was saying it, like, Pattinson's, like, the corner of his mouth would twitch.
Oh, that's a good call. Yeah, I saw that. That's a good call.
So yeah, and you
Oh,
I
and
love
by the
that.
way, like, having watched it all the way to the end for apparently no reason.
I told you it wasn't a big deal.
You warned me, but I was already there, and I'd already not peed for an hour, so whatever. But you get all the way to the end, and you realize Paul Dano got, like, credit for singing Ave Maria.
Yeah, that was a nice little inclusion. So, they were kind of hinting at that song in in his music.
Yeah.
And then they actually started playing it, and that was all really cool. And
there are basically three themes. The entire movie has three themes. It's Ave Maria. Mm-hmm. It's whatever the hell the doom doom is, and the Nirvana song.
Yeah,
that's it. And that's not a detractor.
It's not it. Like, Selena had her own theme and stuff. Like,
did she?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, she did. Like, they're definitive. Like, Penguin had his own, like, bit. I don't know that you'd call it a full theme, but
it's probably called a theme. I'll go back and watch that.
Probably.
Just for that.
So I will say, though, someone pointed this out, and I had forgotten this, the little brackets with the question mark at the end of the movie. That is referred to in Java programming as an unbounded wild card. And people are saying that that's a hint at Joker. Or at possibly the fact that now Riddler is totally unbounded,
Yeah. Brackets in programming are very, they're weird. Like, sometimes they mean things, sometimes in like in another language, they mean nothing.
Yeah.
Like in HTML, I can put a slash and anything, and it's fine. But like, that alone is not so telling.
No, I think they're grasping at straws
a little bit. But that Joker
that we might not ever see again, because Matt Reeves said that he's not planning on putting him in the sequel. He might. He doesn't know.
I mean, I like the guy,
the Barry Keoghan.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't like his laugh. But I
actually did like the laugh.
I'm particular about the Joker laughs. Like, when I hear it, sometimes they just sound forced. Like, they sound like a kid trying to do a Joker laugh. And then I'd say there's a difference between, and it doesn't have to be the same kind of laugh for me every time, but like I did not like Heath Ledger's laugh. I love Mark Hamill's laugh, or his laughs. He doesn't have one laugh. He has lots of different laughs depending on his mood.
Agreed.
I am on the fence about Leto in the Suicide Squad, but I loved his laugh in Zack Snyder's Justice League. Like, that was creepy shit. So, I go back and forth with, like, I think Nicholson had, like, a lot of really fun laughs. He's just, I mean, he does a little bit what Hamill did, where he was just kind of like, he might have like an actual, like, hearty laugh, but then, like, he'll do something really messed up and be like, it's just like,
yeah. Like with Nicholson's, I remember the kind of aspect to it. It's hard to describe, but I remember that part.
But okay, I'm very interested though. It's interesting because one, Barry Keoghan, Matt Reeves came up with an actual backstory for Joker. Even though we only saw him for a short time, he decided his Joker was going to be have a congenital disease that made him grin all the time, and pretty much based his look off of and his backstory on Gwynplaine from The Man Who Laughs from the 1909 movie that inspired Joker in the first place. So, yeah, I want to see more of that. Yes, please. And one thing we didn't see in this movie, there was a deleted scene where Batman goes to Joker to like profile the Riddler, try to get some insight. And when he shows up, Joker says, "It's almost our 1-year anniversary." Like, how the hell do you leave that out? He says the movie didn't flow as well with it in there, but
I mean, he's probably right about that, but that's hard. That's hard to let go of.
It is. So anyway, yeah, we don't know. Like, he's got a whole plan for him, but then again, he's like, I don't know if I'll ever do anything with him again. We know you will, piece of shit.
Yeah,
you won't be able to.
Don't
stop
you be
yourself.
coy.
But I did feel like they set up a lot of stuff in this movie. Like, one of the things that was at first a real negative for me, and I think it still might be, dude, I totally thought, like at the beginning when Alfred kept saying, the accountants want to talk to you, the accountants want to talk to you, we've got to set up that meeting with the accountants. They mentioned like 2 or 3 times. And Bruce kind of, I'm like, holy shit, the Riddler knows he's Bruce, and he's been using Bruce's funds to wage his terrorist war. That's what I thought was going to come out. You know what I mean?
I mean, I thought the entire renewal process and all that, I don't know. But it seemed like the background of that movie was the renewal process, the corruption it must have given at a slush fund.
Yeah.
It's hard to tell where the
the accountants would be talking to Bruce about his money, not the renewal fund.
Oh, for sure. Well,
so,
also that.
I was sort of just, I thought they were going to get into that deeper, but I mean, that might have just been like Matt Reeves kind of bringing it up to point out that Bruce is not concerned with his own money and not concerned with what is happening with his money. And then like the woman running for mayor is telling him, as far as I can tell, you're not doing anything. And I really liked that because it is like, it is the Bruce Wayne that runs around punching poor people instead of giving his money to the poor and helping. Like, this version of Bruce is literally what the internet keeps thinking they're so clever complaining about.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm cool with seeing that realization come to Bruce, the realization that he can embody fear, but it's also important to offer hope as well. And it's like that the scene where he's like reaching his hand out and nobody wants to, like, he's trying to save people and everybody's too scared of him to come with him and take his hand. And I'm like, it reminded me of that bit where in the comic, in New Frontier, when Superman's like, when he scared that kid. And then later on, Superman's like, what's with the costume change? And he says, I'm trying to scare criminals, not children.
Yeah.
And it reminded me of that.
No, I agree. There's a lot of love for stuff like that. And it was a child who actually grabbed his hand in this movie.
Yeah. There's a lot to love in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
I loved the motivation of the Riddler. I loved that the renewal fund didn't help them. It helped crooked politicians get richer and enrich their mob connections and pump drugs into the streets. And he was right in a way to target Bruce because Bruce wasn't doing anything. He's so wrapped up in his quest for vengeance, he isn't doing anything practical for the underserved. And it's so good. Like, I can't believe they went with like the Earth One Marthas in the Marthas and Arkham thing. Like that, but I loved it. I loved that, like, further.
Well, I don't think she was like ultimately, but she went in and out.
Yeah,
like I like that too.
I mean, she had a psychotic break, and it very much further calls into question the mental stability of Bruce on the whole. Like, would he have found a different outlet for being crazy as shit if they had lived? Like, he's still like some rich guy, like living, you know, shit happens. Like, he might have developed a bad relationship with his parents as he got older. You know, there's so many things. Like, would he have still had this break, even if he didn't become Batman? Like, is Batman really just because Bruce is mentally unhinged like his mother? I dig that shit, man.
Yep.
I dig it hard.
I generally like anything where the dividing line between the Joker and Batman is just that thin.
Mm-hmm.
Makes me very happy.
And I've heard a few people call into question whether or not that last Joker scene should have been in there. And I was like thinking, like, why is that there? And if not to set up, because I read the Matt Reeves saying that he didn't know if he was going to do that or not. But it does really, he didn't know if he was going to make Joker into a sequel or put Joker in a sequel.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I'd read earlier that, like, the plans for the Batman 2, the sequel, wound up becoming the Penguin Show. So I'm like, okay, which is apparently going to be his rise to power. So, and by the way, that doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be so much a prequel, because there's a power vacuum now, and Oz was the right hand of Falcone.
Yeah.
So they very well just could be like delving into how he grabs that power and keeps it.
Yeah. They're very deliberate about the power vacuum on the mob front.
Mm-hmm.
And dear God, Colin Farrell.
Yes, Colin Farrell.
That just, holy shit. Can we go ahead and give him the award for, like, GOAT of accents?
I'm all right with that.
Holy fucking shit.
Yeah. Yeah. He blew me away. Like, at no point, even with full knowledge that it was Colin Farrell, he at no point in that movie made me think that is Colin Farrell.
No. I mean, I'm rewatching Scrubs right now, and just that one episode where Colin was there, and his actual accent, the actual Irish Colin, I don't even know what to do with this. I don't even know. This is bullshit. I'm pretty sure it's false.
And
I think Colin Farrell may be actually American.
I am absolutely amazed by the people online who were saying that this movie is humorless, because every time Penguin was on screen, I was laughing, and not for bad reasons.
You're just gonna leave me here.
He's just such a dick, and I love it. He's like, oh, you boys didn't pass high school Spanish, huh? Mm-hmm. It's not L, it's la. And he's like, the world's greatest detectives.
That was a really good scene.
That was fantastic.
In the middle of it, I kind of thought, all right, these guys they have a lot to learn.
Well, you know, earlier on when Bruce is looking at that, he's going, Riddler's Spanish is bad, but I can decipher it. And like when Penguin says that, there's this look on Bruce's face like, I knew there was something wrong with that.
Fuck.
I knew there was something wrong with that.
Yeah. No, he doesn't make mistakes.
Fantastic.
Mm-hmm. That was a good call.
I loved all of, yeah. I loved the reporter named Elliot. I love the Hush, like all the Hush stuff. And Matt Reeves loves Hush, by the way. So
I know.
I think he's definitely going to do that.
Just the giant splash screen of Hush.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, but what I was saying though is like I was trying to figure out like why if he didn't have any interest in doing a Joker or wasn't sure, why would he even go to the trouble of keeping that scene in there? And it does play really well because I was like looking around on like news updates and stuff, and Reeves was talking about why he kept it in. Mm-hmm. And why he kept that in, because he was going to cut both of them. And then they did a screening, and the ending was kind of down, because the overall sentiment seemed to be, well, why isn't Bruce going with Selina? That doesn't make any sense. So he put it back in and tested it, and the screen and the audience ratings for the ending went way up. And he realized that, Selina says, this place is never going to change. And you have to establish that there is a threat, that Gotham was Gotham before Batman, and Gotham is going to continue being Gotham. So Batman has to stay. So to like relay to the audience, yes, Riddler is now in Arkham, but he's made a friend, and he's with this guy, obviously the Joker. This Batman's place is here.
I mean, agreed, but they didn't test a third version where she went with him back to the city?
I don't think that's the point.
I mean, I agree, but
I love that they went their own ways, because that's indicative of how they're going to go for a minute, because she has to go and find her way. You know, she was ready to kicked that dude off the top of the building. Batman saved him.
Yeah.
So, you know, they have very different methods of how they're going. She went in there ready to kill Falcone.
Yeah.
Like, it was
actually my favorite discussion in the movie was like, you don't have to give him that, whatever, however he phrased it when he was talking about how you don't have to actually like sacrifice yourself to.
Yeah.
That was good.
You don't have to sacrifice your life for this. And she said, honey, I got 9 of them.
Oh, that was after.
Was that after?
No, I mean the scene before where it was like, yeah, she was willing to kill him, but
yeah,
it made sense.
Yeah, so I liked that they even literally drove together down the street, only, you know, side by side, if only for a moment, and then took their separate paths. And he's like watching her through the mirror as she leaves. Like, that was cool, man. Like, how else do you do it until like you get some further mileage out of these characters and they come back together at some point?
Yeah,
at different points in their life. Plus, you know, she's been subject to all of these controlling men in her life. Of course, she's, you know, she doesn't need to be with Batman right now because he is a dick. He needs to calm his shit for a second.
I mean, that's a good point. He is kind of an asshole the entire time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No, she could do better.
What else, man? I feel like there's so much more to talk about with this movie. It's so dense. There's so much about like, you know, the Waynes, the Arkhams, the Maronis, the Falcones, like the slush fund, everything. Just like, I had an alarm set for some reason. All right. I loved how I did love how Batman isn't perfect as a detective at this point.
I actually really liked how he, as a detective, yes, and also just how he took some hits.
Yeah, he took some great hits. But I did love that they did showcase that he had like a natural talent for it, even if it was unhoned. Like, I loved all of that, like them slowly bringing him into the crime scene. That one cop, Martinez was like, you know, damn freak or whatever. Mm-hmm. And then like to see how he switched when he saw Bruce at the funeral, he's like, Bruce Wayne, hey. But then like he got a really cool arc because at the end of the movie, he's like actually helping Batman.
Yep.
That was neat. But I love that he's like noticing all this shit before the cops do. And then I loved his eyes. I loved his camera eyes, his camera lenses. Then he went back and like watched all the stuff that he didn't see the first time he was there.
Yeah,
it's like, oh, this is how he's the world's greatest detective, because he's got cameras on him and he's freaking like obsessively checking the footage.
He can replay that shit. Oh,
yeah. And when Selena was wearing the lenses and he's like talking to her over the thing, I got such Batman Beyond vibes. I was like, oh man, this shit might be in your future, buddy.
No, and including the opening credits. God, it has such a Batman animated series vibe to it.
See, I didn't feel that at all. It felt, to me, it felt like a sort of a film noir anime. Like just the cinematography, like just like the language of the blocking, the way they were cutting. It just like slow takes, still moments, very colorful backgrounds. Even if they were like very dark, You know, those bright reds, the bright oranges, the, you know, the yellows. It felt, you know, it had a very anime language in a lot of places, in a lot of ways.
I can see that.
It actually reminded me a lot of Blade Runner, which is, I guess, the noir stuff. And the number 23 by Joel Schumacher, of all people.
Yeah, fair enough. It had this very, like, I don't know, it kept reminding me of BGAS for a lot of reasons, but most of it was just the idea that it was so grounded as it was. Mm-hmm. That was a lot of fun. I mean, speaking of grounded, like, I had him jumping into the flying squirrel suit.
That was so weird.
It was.
That was weird. It looked cool. The suit didn't look cool. It looked lame, but I think that was kind of the point, is that, you know, he's not there yet.
Made sense to me.
Yeah, no, I mean, he hasn't
looked scary.
He hasn't gotten to the point where his, like, suit, he could just do that with his. You remember how, like, Batman Begins, he was like, "Oh, do this," and Lucius was like, "All right," and then he could just, like, put the electric currents through his cape and glide. He ain't there yet. He ain't get that. He doesn't have a cave.
They're electric currents, but they're mostly subduing muggers right now.
Mm-hmm. What did you wind up thinking about his costume, by the way? Overall,
it's just Gotham by Gaslight, but
it is, like, the cowl very much does feel like Gotham by Gaslight. But he's
I don't
so
mean
armored.
that to detract, though. I thought it looked really good on him.
I thought it looked really good. It looked. I would say I've been on the fence about the suit. And then, like, there are elements of it I really, really like, and then, like, elements I still don't like. I don't like it's the same thing with, like, you know, how they did Barry's chin when they got rid of the little, like, chin strap. Mm-hmm. When you get rid of the chin strap, you make the suit cut into, like, that fat under your chin, and I just think he looked bad. Like, every time he's, like, in silhouette with Selena or something, I'm seeing that little, like, chin flurb, and I'm just going, yeah, y'all just needed, like, a little armor thing over his chin or something. Like,
gotcha.
That always kind of went, ugh. And I do not like how much I feel like there's got to be a happy medium. I always hated how Christian Bale's suit, like, his mask hole was, like, so close around his mouth, and how it showed so little of his face. I feel the exact opposite for Pattinson. Like, it shows way too much of his face. It's like his whole damn jawline. And I'm like,
the exact opposite. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm, like, looking at him and I'm like, dude, I mean, you could see he's Bruce Wayne.
Oh, there were a couple moments in the movie where Catwoman was sitting there and I was like, yeah, no, you know who that is, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Surely you know who that is. Okay.
You still know? Okay.
Speaking of, he had a lot of really cool Batman moments of like just showing up somewhere.
Mm-hmm. He did. And disappearing. Mm-hmm. So did Riddler, though, too.
Yeah.
Like that. I loved that it was a cold open. And I loved that we were, like, seeing through Riddler's eyes. And then they really hit, like, the horror tone with Riddler here.
Yeah.
Because, like, as the dude is, like, the DA is, or not the DA, the mayor is on the phone, he's watching TV, he's walking back and forth, and just, like, as he passes, we see that that space is empty behind him, and he just, like, the second it takes for him to pass, like, there's Riddler in the dark, and you're just like, oh, shit, oh, shit, like, this is creepy, dude. But, yeah, they did a pretty good job. Like, I thought it was interesting, and I wonder if they'll actually ever tackle it, if they'll actually, like, go into this. But, like, Bruce takes a lot of damage. And, like, hey, yay for that armored suit, because you're getting shot point blank with, like, semi-automatic guns. But
like, toward the end, it's just a straight shotgun blast to the heart. Like,
yeah,
he has to be saved.
And I'm just sitting there thinking, like, I hear Liam Neeson in the back of my head going, you must employ certain theatrics. You know? Like, maybe don't just charge at them, you angry bastard.
Yeah.
Like, hang from the rafters. slide down and grab them up one at a time, take them out without, but
And same scene though, that cracked me up. When he's like breaking in through the atrium, I guess I'll call it. Let me just announce where I'm coming from.
Yeah.
I'm going to attack you from here. Yay!
Yeah, so I do like we did hear that Alfred said that he taught him how to fight, and then Bruce mentioned all these years of fighting, and I assume he was mostly talking about training and learning how to fight because at the beginning, as Matt Reeves said, they didn't lie. We saw him writing in his journal, and it said Gotham Project Year 2, so he's only been doing this for 2 years.
Yeah, I mean, we were told it was going to be year 2 for a very long time.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
I would also I don't know. I would like to think that Circus was training him the entire time.
I think he was. It seemed like he was.
I think he was too.
By the way, do you know what Bruce was wearing under that bat suit?
I have a feeling. I think I may be wearing them.
I'm pretty sure it was MeUndies.
Yep.
And
It's
MeUndies
the one
is
thing we have in common.
yeah.
Me and Batman. Oh no! Wait,
Me, you,
no,
and Batman.
no. We have another thing in common: love of early '90s grunge music.
That's true.
Do you think
well,
I
at least
wasn't
for this
listening to that
version.
song on the way home? Because I fucking was.
Of course you were.
Yeah.
So yeah, MeUndies is teaming up with Batman for their latest collection. And look, man, I love my MeUndies. They are the most comfortable things I own to wear. I mean, God, have you really just luxuriated in them yet? Have you just like put on those pants, those the loungewear,
Yeah. No.
and just just lounge around the house?
Just to pause, I thought you just meant the actual undies part, and yes, I've walked around my home, on the outside of my home.
Mm-hmm.
My neighbors were not excited about this,
I can't imagine they would be.
but have I luxuriated? Yes.
Well, I'll tell you this much. Now you can actually get them with Batman or Catwoman on them. And MeUndies wants you to know that you're going to have to choose to either be on the side of darkness or the side of justice. Of course, I think if you're Batman, you're kind of on the side of both. But you can make your choice with 2 new limited edition prints featuring your favorite Caped Crusaders, Batman and Catwoman, available in super soft undies, socks, loungewear, and more in a range of sizes from extra small to 4XL. Both heroes and villains are guaranteed to stay cozy in these prints. Hey, you can't beat that, if you're a bad guy, you still want to be comfortable. If you really can't decide,
Take care
though,
of the nuts. No, it doesn't matter.
you
who you are.
do. If you can't decide, though, between the 2, you can go ahead and grab both in their hero and villain pack. You contain multitudes, so let them contain your multitudes. MeUndies has a great offer for our listeners. For any first-time purchasers, you get 15% off and undies shipped right to your door. So make sure you check out their new Batman and Catwoman prints before they're gone to get the 15% off your first order and a 100% satisfaction guaranteed. Go to MeUndies.com/DCOS. That is MeUndies.com/DCOS. That stands for DC on screen, y'all. Yeah. So, all right, that business is done. By the way, though, they really are fantastic. Like, this isn't just like I feel bad. Like, I feel like people are like, it's just a cash grab. They're just saying that. No, man.
No,
I didn't know what I was
really
missing.
Sweet.
I didn't know what I was missing. I thought, they're underwear. How good can they be? And then they came in the mail and I put them on and went, oh my God. They're fantastic.
They'll take care of your precious things.
Yeah. So yeah, man. Dude, cinematography in this movie is so gorgeous. I can't believe it, man. I could not believe some of the stuff I was seeing. Like, even
a lot of goodness there, and my favorite among any of them was just the honestly, it was the shots before the Joker reveal
Mm-hmm.
where just the light is coming through the window.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I thought it was gorgeous.
Yeah, I feel like everything has like its place. Like there's like the Batman, like the cinematography shifts, it changes style slightly with every character.
Oh, I can see that.
And like the blocking changes, like the relationship of the camera to the character changes. There were some really cool choices in here, and I was just very pleased. Like, dude, Riddler especially, like such a horror vibe. Like
Yeah.
he's off center, he's like close up, he's just kind of all over the place.
Never a straight
Um,
angle.
mm-hmm.
But you're right. Like every time they actually do Batman, they pull off a little bit, and it's always a straight shot.
Yeah, or generally. Um, it felt like a gritty 70s crime drama at times, but also a noir anime. And man, I don't know. I hate that I am not going to go back to the theater for this because I'm not. I can't do it again. I've got to have like another 4 or 5 months between viewings of things. Like, or just going to the theater. Like, I will watch it the first day it's on HBO Max.
Oh, just for funsies. My actual experience, there were 4 people who were there.
Mm-hmm.
One got popcorn, one got me rung up, I guess, and got the soda. The other 2 just laughed at whatever internal joke they had told before.
Mm-hmm.
There were 4 people behind that counter, and they were absolutely not. It didn't make sense given the volume, because the volume, as I am suggesting, was just me. The entire lobby, me,
Mm-hmm.
all of it. I saw no other persons going to a movie. I went into a bathroom right before, and vaguely saw one other person leave it, and then went into a theater with 2 other people. That's it. When I left, there was this onslaught of 2 other people.
Mm-hmm.
Look, I'm sure this movie is going to do gangbuster numbers, but like not from that theater, not that time of day.
Well, it already has. I mean, I think it did something like 22 million on its like preview day, a special preview day, and then like it did. I think it's on track for like 120 something million over this weekend.
Yeah.
And like when I've gone to Walmart at night or whatever, like our Walmart is like right across the street from the Regal Theater where we see it. And like I went really late at night. I went at like 10 p.m. It's like literally the last show. And I was in there with, about 10, 15 people. And when I went in, no one was even there. And they just filed in sort of slowly as the next 10 minutes rolled by. But, again, though, like every theater is playing it. Like it is playing every 15 minutes at that Regal. So like when I have gone to the store or whatever, I'm just looking over there and like the parking lot is jam packed.
Well, there were plenty of cars there.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe they were actually there for something. Hell, even walking.
They're there for something.
I think they didn't just come there and die or vanish. Even then, I honestly think they just kind of wandered in and watched another viewing because, like you said, it was every 15 minutes.
Yeah.
I was walking past a couple of entrances and heard music that I was sure was the Batman. So there were like 2 or 3 people in every theater, as I suppose. It was so few people, though, that when I walked in, I thought I was actually alone. I saw one dude and then kind of like walked up an aisle behind him or an aisle or 2 behind him and sat there. And then, and good for him. He picked like the slot, the exact height and right in the center. And the only we were only joined by one lady that popped in behind us and got on like the high slot. It was such a small number of people that I was tempted to see if we should hang out.
Yeah.
Like I was tempted to go sit next to the dude that was there before me and go like, "Hey man, you want to watch this together?"
He's like, COVID.
We were both masked.
All right. So let me say, I feel like, and I did get tired of the main theme, the dun, 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 every time we saw Bruce or Batman. I'm not saying it didn't work, because I've been humming it ever since. But during the movie, I did just think, oh my God, why do they keep doing this? But the music was really fantastic, as we've come to expect from Michael Giacchino. And I also love the usage of Something in the Way by Nirvana. And I love that it started out as like this anthem for Bruce spending all of his time in the streets, essentially being homeless, emotionally, feeling like his true place was in the shadows of the streets. And then, also as like him having lost his parents and connecting with that, with the mayor's child who's lost his parents.
Oh, that was a good theme
and
the entire time.
Feeling displacement among those who have lost their home. And then when they bring it back, it's more in note with the Riddler, who was literally one of the forgotten orphans. Like,
yeah,
not one bereaved in their ivory tower with billions of dollars and an empire to inherit, but the ones who were literally freezing to death. Mm-hmm. I dug that, man. I really dug that.
Yeah, the Riddler was a child of false hope.
Yeah,
I mean that's his origin story. Is just he was there, as he said, when all those promises were made, and they were all bullshit. He was lied to,
which also kind of worked for that song. Do you know what the song is about?
Which one?
Something in the Way.
Oh,
Something in the Way.
It's pretty much those two. No, I do not.
Kurt Cobain wrote that about his time being homeless, living under the Wishkah River Bridge.
Oh, nice.
Now, speaking of bullshit.
She moves. Oh, it's a different song.
Yeah. Speaking of bullshit, though, Chris Novoselic says that while Kurt was technically homeless, and he did like to hang out there, he could not have lived there because of the completely unpredictable tides that wouldn't allow anyone to live there. And he said Kurt had like friends he would crash with, and he'd sneak into his mom's basement, and that the living under a bridge and being completely homeless thing was Kurt's own revisionism.
Nice.
It's like, damn, dude, you just like putting it all out there, Chris.
Nice.
It's just like, yeah, Kurt was full of shit. I'm like, look, man, if you're buddies with Bob Dylan, you don't go out there and tell everybody after he's dead, hey, he didn't really ride the rails when he was 13 and learn the blues.
Nope. The revisionist history version of Kurt Cobain. Love it.
So anyway, that was fun. I feel like we have done a disservice to Jeffrey Wright.
Oh, dear God. Yeah. All right. I think we
can I just say my favorite on-screen Gordon?
Saying we were going to talk about the actors, and
yeah, we didn't. Well, there's a lot to talk about. We got sidetracked. Mm-hmm. There were squirrels. Mm-hmm. Jeffrey Wright is my favorite live-action Gordon.
That's a lot given the previous version, but dear God,
what's the previous version? 5 minutes of J.K. Simmons?
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Well, we'll revisit this when we see Batgirl.
That's fair.
I'm not saying it's going to be a long run.
Given and what we got, holy fucking shit, he was great.
I'll tell you this. Jeffrey Wright beat Jeffrey Wright beat conversation. 5 years of Ben McKenzie. For me, anyway.
That was good. Do you have this like image of what's his name? Robin Lord Taylor, I think. Just watching this movie and thinking, God damn it! I wish I'd gotten those scenes. I think he could have done them, but
I mean, if he was doing a completely different take of the Penguin, yeah.
Oh yeah. No, I just think he would have loved the car chase.
Probably, yeah.
Who wouldn't?
But yeah, dude, I love Jeffrey Wright's portrayal of Gordon. I love what Jeffrey Wright did with everything he did with Batman. He and Batman's relationship is just, chef's kiss, as they say.
Yeah. No, the whisper talk conversation is glorious. Followed up later with you could have pulled that punch. I did.
No, you gotta punch me in the face. You saying he's moonlighting for Falcone? No, I'm saying he's moonlighting as a cop.
Also good.
I love the thumb drive stuff.
thwack.
The thumb drive. And Gordon's like, oh, this guy's hilarious.
I kind of like the idea that
you to think this movie isn't funny.
Going behind villains like this isn't regular. The movie starts out with him just worrying about people putting on Halloween costumes and robbing liquor stores or whatever. And this is new. The idea of this being, some fucking rogues gallery is kind of new.
Yeah. So it seems like at the very least, Riddler is number 2 in universe. He's still, and even in a deleted scene, he did go to talk to Joker. So. And it's been about a year since he hung out with him, since he brought him in.
Minimally, yeah.
Yeah.
I like the idea that it wasn't that far progressed. To the extent that when they're roaming through this whole thing, there are riddles, this is extreme. There are ciphers, for God's sake. There's a thumb drive that.
Bruce goes to bed and Alfred just wakes up early and does basically he's doing a crossword, but deciphering this thing.
I'm just remembering my old days at the MI, whatever.
Yeah.
I get that. I like the idea that it's all new. Also, same scene. I absolutely loved the idea that he was like, oh, fresh berries. And even Bruce was like, what? I do want berries. You're right.
Yeah, that actually reminded me of you. I chuckled when he because he stares at Alfred for just a second, processing it, and then looks over and he does this sort of quick but fluid motion of just picking up the thing. It was you move, and you move like a freaking Futurama character. So it was in your head you went yoink. Well, yes, I would like that.
Yes, I would like that.
But it was just there was this this air of Bruce, he seemed like the disaffected 90s teenager who was just well, I don't want him to know I want berries, but I do want berries. So I'm just going to quietly accept it and move on.
Yeah. Petulant child.
He really is a little bit.
It's what makes it so much fun when later he just holds Alfred's hand. That's a good scene.
Yeah. And that is very BTAS. A lot of times Bruce is just a petulant child and Alfred's all right, well.
Yeah, just puts up with him.
Take this chicken soup with you ass.
Even the Michael Caine version carried that baton, there is such a rich, good history of just Bruce being an asshole. The one guy who actually was trying to be there the entire time.
Yeah.
And this movie does a really good job of carrying that, but also giving a really good quiet moment to him kind of getting over it.
Mm-hmm.
Even in that conversation, he starts with you lied to me. And by the end of it, he might as well have just said, I love you.
Mm-hmm.
Glorious.
If we haven't talked about it enough already, Zoe Kravitz, I will say at this point, at this juncture, she is my favorite on-screen Catwoman.
Oh, she was glorious.
She was sexy. She was badass. She was vulnerable. I cared about where she came from. I cared about where she was going. Savage as hell.
Mm-hmm.
She just knocked it out of the park for me in every possible way. I was telling my friend Amy that, and she was like, really? And I was like, I mean, of course I have a crush on her, so I'm biased. So.
I mean, the scene alone where she just kicks that guy over.
Yeah.
So good.
Yeah. And I really thought that I was going to not dig her flavor, man. Like, because of that trailer that I wasn't feeling, where Bruce is like, or Batman's like, you got a lot of cats. You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
and she's like, I have a thing for strays. And then they had that bit about, honey, I got 9 of them. And in the trailer, it seemed hokey. In the movie, it all made sense. Like, and that's one of the things that I loved how awkward Selena and Bruce were, as you know. I loved how awkward, like, they did not shy away from the fact that, yes, it is awkward for Batman to be walking around in this costume in front of a bunch of people.
Oh, that was actually possibly the best part of this movie. Is it just, they made a serious point about 2 things that are fantastic. One, fear is the motivating factor of why he would do that. And 2, barring any discussion about why he would do that or why that was the particular discussion he chose to have or anything else out of the year 1 playbook, he just is. And they have several discussions about the fact that he just the fuck is and wanders into whole crime scenes. They even used the phrase chain of evidence. Oh, I loved it. Oh my God, I loved it. Yeah, that part was glorious. Just absolutely glorious.
Yeah. I could not believe that Paul Dano was creepier without the mask.
No,
But
honestly, the entire time I kept thinking like, oh, they're underusing this guy. And then when he actually gets to the interrogation room, 2 things.
Yeah, no,
Again,
it was just enough.
Yeah,
because he was so damn creepy.
He was fantastic. And I love the kind of callback in a way to the interrogation room Dark Knight scene.
Mm-hmm.
I do feel like this movie tried to, make some callbacks, like play some.
Oh, it definitely did. Yeah. Yeah.
And that was one of the ones for me that it played really well. Like they did that, and Paul Dano actually got to show off for a minute. And dear God, he's so good. He is so fucking good.
Yeah. Like, I had not seen him outside of Little Miss Sunshine several years ago.
Oh, he was a kiddo at the time.
Yeah, he was a kid in that, but he was really good. Like, I don't know if you remember that. Did you ever see that movie?
Yeah. I remember him from that and what's the oil movie?
No.
With Daniel Day.
Oh, there will be blood.
Yeah, that's the one.
I still haven't gotten around to that one.
Yeah.
But yeah, in Little Miss Sunshine, he's just like this like completely quiet kid, and he's studying to become a pilot, and then he realizes he's colorblind.
Oh, they do the little test in the background.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he just starts, after being silent for the entire movie, he just starts cursing, and they pull off to the side of the road, and he just like runs out there and breaks down.
Yep.
In the field. And they're like, what the hell is happening? And he says, I'm colorblind. I can't be a pilot.
Mm-hmm.
And so like, I knew the guy had chops, so I wasn't worried about that or anything, but I was not prepared for how creepy he was. Yes, you put a GIMP mask on somebody. and
no, wait, it was written out on the far side. It was like a winter tactical mask or something.
Okay, well, you put that on, it looks still a GIMP mask to me.
I mean, I agree, but they had this actually was a really fun part of the movie. It was they had a whole discussion on the far right of the thread. The OnlyFans version.
Oh yeah, the like the dark web MySpace page.
Yeah. His followers had a whole thing going on.
Yeah, and I loved like the juxtaposition, by the way, of that, where it was like he's sending out videos on throughout the city, like, oh, I'm gonna do this, and then like on his page where he's talking to his followers, he's like, hi guys, thanks for your support. Make sure you have your cellophane.
Get your shrink wrap.
Now we're going to take it to the streets. But yeah, like it
cracked me up. And it's very realistic for this kind of thing. 0 following.
Mm-hmm.
It was like 532 followers or something. 0 following.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's some ratio. Like that's actual influencer level.
But then, those 20 dudes showed up.
Yeah. But did you realize, like, I had to look it up. I suspected, but I had to look it up. The guy that they unmask at the end, and they're like, "Who are you?" And he says, "I'm Vengeance,"
No.
and starts laughing. He's the guy that was at the funeral that was talking about, how he hates the rich, and then he realizes that Bruce is Bruce, and as Bruce walks away, he just glares at him and sinks back into the dark.
Yeah, you're right.
He was the same guy.
There's a nice moment there where like Bruce hears what he's saying. It seemed like to me, but like sees him.
Well, there is, but then at the end when they unmask him and they're like, "Who are you? Who the hell are you?" and he just laughs and says, "I'm Vengeance." It's just like one more little stab of the knife. Like, God, I do sound like that, don't I?
Oh no! Hold on. This is the funny part of the movie to me, where I kind of laughed, and I don't think the movie was asking me to laugh about it. But that moment where he was like, "Did you just steal my line?" That bitch just stole my line. Did you have the same reaction when you saw it?
No. No. I was just like, oh, that hurts.
It does. It does.
But yeah, Paul Dano, man, like when he's at that diner and they like throw him on against the counter and he's like on his side and he looks over and he sees Bruce or Batman
creepy smile
in the window. That smile, dude. And like that was so like I wanted to puke. Like it was so weird. And just like that interrogation scene, he was so good and so creepy, and I just couldn't imagine. Like they had to keep that face a secret for the majority of the movie, or we wouldn't have gotten that like visceral, like, oh my God, you were a creepy dude feeling.
Yeah, you're worse than anything that you've actually put into action that could possibly describe.
Yeah, like he was just like, an accountant with a bad childhood who started putting too many pieces together.
Yeah.
Oh God. I don't even know what else there is to say. Like
John Turturro. Over and over again.
We've already talked. That was the first thing we talked about.
I know, and I want to do it again. Oh my God.
Oh, can we talk about the Batmobile?
Hell yes.
That shit, like Matt Reeves said a few months ago that he was heavily inspired by Stephen King's Christine with the Batmobile. I get it. I see what he's talking about now. Like when the Batmobile is just kind of tucked beside that building and it lets out that like sonic whine and everyone just kind of stops like, what the shit is that? And it's just like sitting there with like minimal lights on, and then like the turbine starts going and that freaking blue light. And it sounds like it's like a sonic whine, like freaking like a bat cry or something.
Oh, it's a jet engine.
Yeah, and it is
they
imposing.
They did a really good turn there early on. Like the first thing you see is just him in an alley. Smoke there. Nothing to describe what's about to happen to you. And you just see him like scoot out and put the brakes on. Like you know your fate is coming for you.
Yeah. And that friggin' chase scene with the penguin.
Oh, so good.
That was fantastic.
Honestly, speaking of smoke though, like even on the rafters there at the end, when he actually whatever the hell he does and blows up some smoke, it looks like a fire extinguisher or something. But
yeah, that thing they did, they shot a fire extinguisher that was like lodged under the catwalk there.
It made me very happy to see him just come out of fucking smoke.
Yeah.
That was a good
shot. Hopefully that's like, because he wasn't really using a whole lot of concealment before. So hopefully like that kind of plays into like in a sequel where he'll be like, oh shit. Yeah, I should use like shit like smoke and stuff. Like
you think on the shadows. We should use those.
I liked that ending.
To the other end of it, like the fact that he is so obvious in this movie was really kind of fun and unique in a lot of ways. And I mean, hell,
Matt Reeves said he was going to be a reckless rock star.
Yeah, he did that. And look, the conclusion where like he's literally holding a flare, like pulling people. Well, he did.
Leading people onto the dry land.
Yeah, and hell, after that, he's on the news. Like he's not trying to claim he doesn't exist or be some myth that we don't know about. You know, whether he's even a tree or a fakie or whatever. But that part's kind of nice. Like the really deliberate part about how no, he's just a dude doing his thing, but I like it.
Yeah. Of course, this movie doesn't really go into a lot of different things. Not that that's a negative so much. I want to know why they're in Wayne Tower and there is no Batcave. I want to know why they're not in the mansion. I want to know what those accountants wanted. They never did get around to that. They never did.
They didn't.
And I think it's funny for them to have like, there were a couple of disappointments for me with this movie that like, whereas like they hyped it up so much as like a movie that like a version of Batman we've never seen before. I didn't feel like it was that groundbreaking, nearly as groundbreaking as they hyped it up to be, which is probably just a, problem with the marketing.
Well, also a problem with like, what the fuck are you going to see that you've never seen before with Batman?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that one of the things was like, oh, he's a detective. He's a detective. Well, yes, we got more of the process of him being a detective, but I mean, he was a detective in, 89 Batman. I mean, we didn't really see him doing it, but like he showed up or he brought Vicky to the cave and was like, here are all the chemicals. Like I figured it out. I cracked the code. He was a detective in
Affleck was a detective. I mean,
Affleck was a detective, the white Portuguese stuff, like tracking down Luthor's kryptonite, and he was a detective. And let's not forget, while we're on the subject of a Batman movie where he's like running around cracking super simple riddles, even though, look, those riddles, yeah, I knew them before Bruce said them. I was like, yeah, I know that one. Now they're, and that was disappointing, but they're deeper meanings and how like he was intending them to figure it out I probably couldn't have done that. So definitely I couldn't have done that. So I liked that about this movie quite a bit. I was like, here's a simple riddle. Here's a simple answer, but what the hell does it mean? Oh shit. There's a lot here.
Yeah.
But
the Foley factor here.
But while we're talking about that, let's not forget that Batman did that in Batman Forever. Like Carrie's Riddler actually had like a fair amount of like really cool riddles and also sent packages with fun things on them to Bruce's house.
I mean, there's a whole portion of this movie where I thought it is really fun to see the live action Arkham movie. And
I'm not saying we've ever seen it to this extent, but he's been a detective before in these movies.
Oh, he has. I just feel like he's gonna pick up 300 Riddler trophies after this movie ends.
Yeah, I can see that. That'd be fun. I mean, not for me to do, or to watch, but that'd be funny. Like, I would be very happy for people. I'd be happy it existed. I would be like, if they were like, hey, we're putting out like a little like the Batman 1.5 where it's just Batman picking up the Riddler trophies after I would laugh and go, I'm not watching that, but I love that it's out there.
I mean,
so yeah,
to be fair, you did watch me pick up a lot of Riddler trophies.
That's why I'll never do it again.
That's fair too.
I mean, there is one thing though, if like you and I are like sitting around at like 4:00 in the morning, drinking milk and trying to figure out how to get like a singular Riddler trophy, and we're just like, hold on, give me that. Let me see if I can do it.
Yeah.
But it's quite another to just watch it.
Right. Did you also think he was just like his mask was duct tape?
Who, the Riddler?
Yeah. I
thought it was like an actual like buttoned flap.
Well, it wasn't that. It was in the first couple scenes for just a second. I thought he had just duct taped his face, and I was very worried for him because that looks very uncomfortable.
I mean, it all looked very uncomfortable, but I loved that he was like using the cellophane to keep his hair in place so that it didn't fall out and get anywhere. Like he wasn't leaving DNA anywhere. I loved all of that. God, I loved how desperate the DA was.
Oh,
I actually felt a little bad
Yeah.
for him. I felt a little bad for him when Selena like left him, and he was like, he just slumped his shoulders, like he's just like so lonely that he's not even like he didn't even seem like a real predator. He just seemed like he was super lonely.
He did. And then you find out later he's like, oh no, he has a wife and kid.
Yeah,
He's not lonely. He's just kind of terrible.
yeah. That tracks. That's all true. God,
I really didn't realize who that was, though. Like in DC lore, that is that's an actor who's showed up a couple times.
I feel like we're forgetting a lot of things, and I'm sure we are. Like I said, I've only seen this thing once. I really want to watch it again.
This is generally the 70% mark of our show, where we talk about something like this, and then you say something like that, or I do, and then we typically remember what we haven't talked about.
Yeah, that's true. But I honestly think we have covered everything, really.
One would think.
One would think, but I'm sure we're missing something. But I got nothing else, I don't think. I'm sure like tomorrow or something I'll be like, son of a bitch.
Oh yeah, no. I'm gonna do it too.
But yeah, like it's
How many people do you think have just punched this penguin in the face? He has so many scars.
I mean, he's a jackass.
I mean, yes.
It's probably a lot of women.
Yeah.
Slashing them, a lot of, I'm not putting up with this shit. And now he's like second hand to Falcone, and they can't really do anything to him now. But
for now.
Yeah, he was fantastic.
But dear God, he's so scarred.
He is. And I kind of wonder if that's from bullying, like people just bullying the shit out of him.
Well, that's what I was
With
wondering.
the circles that he's running around in.
He's such a powerful figure in Gotham right now. Like, who the fuck is punching him in the face? Those have to be from youth.
Oh yeah, youth and him coming up until like Falcone looks at him, takes one look at him, and goes, "You're scrappy."
Smacks
I
him
need
with a
you by
poke
my
cue.
side. I'm actually sad that
Says,
Falcone dies.
You made me do this to you. I know. I am too.
I actually liked him enough that I would like to see him kind of come back. And
I always forget how powerful they are.
I love when he's like, "You taking me the boys in blue? The boys in blue are in my pocket." And you like, walk out and they're like, "Not everybody works for you."
Oh, that was a good
Oh
scene.
God. Oh God. That was good.
That was a good
That was
scene.
so good. Yeah, I feel like this movie was full of really fantastic scenes. Like, and the more I think about it, the less I think I was bored, and the more I think I was super antsy and wanted to go to sleep. Also, like, there always is that that notion of of hype interfering with it. Like Matt Reeves is like, "Oh, he's a violent, reckless rock star," and he had like 3 fights for real.
Oh, I know.
Like,
I know. I mean,
like,
you and I are both contrarians to some extent, so you get into those situations, and yeah, I get it. I get how it comes out across that way.
yeah. So I really enjoyed it. I think I posted a Batman movie ranking earlier, and I told like someone was like, "What's your real ranking?" And I was like, "I don't know. That's where I'm at right now. It might change tomorrow." And I'll be damned, it did. Like I don't agree with myself now. I don't agree with myself from like a day ago, or as they might say on Fake Doctors, Real Friends, a day or soon ago. Have you gotten to that yet?
No, I have not. I'm still like season 1 of that. I just do that in the background.
Donald Faison's middle name is Adeyashun.
Oh, yeah.
And then they sing, "What you trying to get into, Adeyashun?" And now it's kind of morphed between me and Bethany anyway to be like, if we say a day or two, we say Adeyashun.
No, I like it.
I don't know if they've jumped into that, but like now in the current episodes, Donald Faison is like doing like an animated thing like claymation or something, like stop motion, something like that. And he sold a series. Like basically, he was on a panel and he was talking about like, oh, what would you do if you had an anime? Oh, I'd do this and this and this. And like there was like a Adult Swim guy on the panel with him. Was like, we should talk. So now he's literally doing an animated show for Adult Swim. And I think his production company is like A Day of Shun, or What You Trying to Get Into, A Day of Shun, or something like that.
That is fucking lovely.
Yeah.
I love the idea of the moment where like, this isn't a joke anymore. We should talk later.
Yeah. He's like, oh yeah, I got an idea. It's this. We should talk. Anyway, you want to call it?
I suppose we should. We'll talk about it later,
Yeah.
I'm sure.
We will. We'll get back to it.
God, like 2 years. 2 years now we've been waiting on this thing.
Mm-hmm.
Well, several years, but 2 just for the actual release.
Yeah. Yeah. And, that was like one of my, like, as I was watching it, it kind of took me out of it because it was like early on in the movie, we see Bruce shirtless and I'm like, okay, he pretty jacked. And then like later we see him shirtless and I'm like, he's not jacked at all. How did they shoot this? Like, was the first shot that we saw where he was looking jacked, was that like when they went on like was that when he first started and then like because he got COVID, so they had to like stop. Did he just like, was he so sick that he lost a ton of weight and like just couldn't work out and he got super rail thin? Or was he rail thin to begin with and they shot a couple of scenes and then they were like, okay, well, because they took a few different breaks. There was like a break where there was like an outbreak and they had to take it off. They had to stop. And then maybe he went and got jacked. And then they came back and then Pattinson got it and then they went away again. You know what I mean? Like,
oh yeah, no,
because there was definitely
I mean, on the one hand, I thought about it for sure. Like those news cycles where it was like, Pattinson won't go to the gym. I thought about it. And on the other hand, I kind of thought it does kind of fit the character right now.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure which one was really being served right then.
Yeah. I mean, I'm willing to give it to them that they had to take frequent breaks and he might not have been able to keep up because he himself was sick.
Right.
But for sure, that early scene, he was jacked and then he was not he had like no muscle on him in another scene. And I was like, you actually do just look like Kurt Cobain over here. You're just like,
I honestly, the first scene I saw him, I kind of thought like, okay, yeah, no, this'll the detractors be fucked. This guy was jacked. And then the other scene where he took off his shirt, I was like, yeah, that looks like me when I'm skinny.
Yeah, it was like friggin' Joaquin Phoenix and Joker.
Yes.
It was like hunched over with his like spine protruding. You're like, wait, what happened to you right now? Like,
but that was the scene in the trailers. Like we knew that part was coming.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not unrealistic. Like Batman doesn't have to be some fucking bodybuilder. That's not realistic. In certain ways, if he was like if he was John Cena or something, he wouldn't have the stamina to do what he does.
Yeah. See, I like the idea. It's like Rocky. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if you've seen the Rocky movies, but I like the idea that a young Batman is very lean. He's not super muscular. He's very lean. He's very agile. Master of theatricality. Get around you.
To him, right?
Yeah. But then as he gets older and his joints get stove up, just like in the Rocky movies, like he was younger, he was fit, but he was live, man. He was like, he could move fast. But by Rocky 6, they're like, okay, you got arthritis in all of your joints and shit. So now we're going to focus on strength training. And like,
that's fair.
His fingers are just like giant sausages, and he's just like this like huge, slab of meat. And it just reminds me of like the Dark Knight Returns Batman. Like, Dark Knight Returns Batman is just like, and even to some degree, Affleck. in BVS, where he's he's like in his 40s, his late 40s. You know, he can't really do all the shit that he used to do. He's not as fast as he used to be. You compensate by doing strength training.
Oh, he's a unit.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I get that.
So see, I think about this shit way too much sometimes.
No, I'm behind you. I get it. This all makes sense to me. I'm rolling with you.
I just like hear that old dude in Balboa, you know, Rocky Balboa is just like, you know, you got arthritis in all your joints. We gotta focus on strength.
I could get that.
Anyway, thank you guys so much for listening. Let us know what your thoughts were on the Batman. We'll talk about him next episode.
Whatever we forgot. And I'll tell you something we forgot. Thank you to the patrons. Patreon.com/DC on screen. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Patreon.com/DC on screen if you want to contribute to that. $5 a month gets you the exclusive content. And I am still trying to figure out what we're going to do, how we're going to change it up a little bit. But I am working on some stuff. And Patreon is offering merch now, so I'm kind of thinking about going that way with some of it. But very, very seriously, that is like the best way to support our show. And we couldn't do that without you. So we love you, and you're close to our hearts. And
this would have ended without you, honestly.
It would have. Like, seriously.
Yep. Real talk there.
It got to the point where we're like, we love doing this, but we got to make some kind of money here.
It has to sustain itself to some extent, and thank God for all of you.
Absolutely. I mean, we still would have been doing the show. We just wouldn't be recording it and releasing it. Does that make sense? Like Jason would still call me every week and be like, hey, what's going on with DC? I'm like, oh, let me tell you this.
Have you heard about? Yep.
Do you know that guy from the Nethers? Mm-hmm. What's the Nethers? I don't know. Some show on Netflix. Anyway.
Yes, Dave. I do have 45 minutes worth of thoughts.
I don't think that's an actual show, by the way. I just said the Nethers. It just sounds like a show about a crotch or something, you know? It's like a family that lives like in someone's crotch crease or something, you know?
Right.
Like children, don't climb up the left ball wall. It's not stable.
Yep.
Oh, all right.
No single cast member has more than 4 teeth.
Thank you guys so much for listening. We'll be back soon. And again, let us know what you thought about the Batman, and we'll talk about it if you want. You can leave us some feedback, dconscreen@gmail.com, or you can talk to us on Twitter @DCOnScreen. And until next time, keep some DC on your screen.
Are you struggling to conceive? You have options, and at Piedmont Reproductive Endocrinology Group, we'll make sure you have the guidance and support you need. PREG is known for individualized fertility care that's unique to every patient. We take the time to provide a reassuring and empowering experience because we believe that you deserve nothing less. Let us help you on your journey to parenthood. Visit us at pregonline.com to learn more. Get the guidance and support you need at Piedmont Reproductive Endocrinology Group.
Our intro music is by Jason Goss and Michael Shackelford. Michael's band, Galactic Engineers of Magnetic Sounds, or GEMS, can be found on SoundCloud and Bandcamp. Visit DCOnScreen.com to find our Patreon, merch, contact information, and every episode of the show for free, including crossovers we've done with other podcasts. DC On Screen is a maladjusted production. For more from me and Jason, including sketch comedy, vlogs, parodies, and our improvised web series Hey Guy, visit maladjusted.tv.